Hi, my name is Sarah Smith and I'm a horticulturalist here at Rogers Gardens, and today I'm going to talk to you about Japanese maples. We're just now starting to get our Japanese maples into the store. That usually happens in January and in February. When they come in, they look dormant like this, so they don't have any foliage on them. But the most amazing part about maples is you can get really, really beautiful colors that we just don't seem to get here in California because we don't have the traditional falls. And the really amazing part about the maples is that the color comes on when they leaf out. So we have some varieties that are green leaf. They usually have a little bit of a red tinge when they're brand new. And then we have some beautiful oranges and reds and yellow leaves that come out with that beautiful, beautiful color on them. Even structurally, when they're dormant, they're just so beautiful. So it's kind of neat for us to have that kind of change in seasons that we can visibly see in our garden that we tend to lack here in Southern California for the most part. So it's just a really great addition to the garden. There are some tricks, and once you know those tricks, they're super easy. I feel like a lot of people who struggle with maples is because they just don't know how to plant them correctly and what their needs are, and they come in and they tell me their woes of why it's not working, and then I can quickly figure out some of the classic mistakes that a lot of people make. So once you know what they need, you will not make those mistakes anymore. So it's pretty simple. The very first thing about a maple is that you want to make sure that you plant it so it's not in full all day long sun. Maples can handle heat, but they can't handle the heat of the rays of the sun directly on their foliage. So that's the biggest problem most people have with them, is they plant them where they're getting all day sun or they're getting afternoon sun. The real key is if you can give them sunlight all the way till about 1 p.m., they'll be perfect. You won't get those super crunchy leaves. The new growth won't burn on you, and that's one of the biggest comments that I get from people, is that their new foliage comes out and then it instantly burns. So as long as you can give them some shelter after 1 p.m., they're really, really happy. That makes them a really great area for some part of your yard that's only getting morning sun, or you're even planting it under the canopy of another tree. They make really beautiful underplantings. Most of them tend to not get too terribly big, so that's usually pretty easy. Or you can plant them under awnings as well too, so that will really help with that part. So after 1 o'clock, no sunlight on these guys. Then they're going to be really, really happy for you. The other problem that people have with burning, so sometimes you're like, okay, well, my maple's like that. It's not getting any sun after 1, but I'm still getting some burn marks on the foliage. Another reason that happens is salt. So we have a lot of salts in our water. We have hard water here. Even our natural water that falls tends to be on the hard water side. So that will also create burning on the leaves. And one of the best things you can do for that, there's a couple of things you can do, but a really great easy trick is gypsum. Gypsum works really, really great. So when you first plant your maple, gypsum is a fantastic thing to put into the hole as you're planting it. You want to put about 2% of gypsum versus how much soil and amendment you're putting in there. This helps leach all the salts out. And then if you top dress it with the gypsum afterwards, that will also really, really help. Also just a good deep watering. The roots on these are not terribly deep, but they're not a shallow root either. So if you give them a really good deep watering, that helps flush out all the soil or all the salts that you're going to get in the soils there too. Also, maples want some acidity to them. The varieties that we tend to sell here don't need a ton of acidity because we don't have acidic soil. So we try to pick ones that don't need too much of that. But a trick that you can use is use the azalea planting mix when you're first planting your maple. The azalea planting mix will add that acidity to it. You can also top mulch them. Maples really appreciate mulching, again, because we tend to get a little warm and a little dry here, so that helps keep their roots really nice and moist. Also giving them some wind protection. So usually the areas that you're planting them, again, if they're getting a little bit of coverage, that helps, but they can't handle the really hot, dry Santa Ana winds that we tend to get here. So if you can give them some wind protection, that really helps. Maples here in the fall don't really turn a lot of colors because we don't typically really get cold enough to get that real good fall color show. So that's why picking a variety that already is a red or an orange or yellow is really nice to have, because you'll have that right away in the garden. And the last thing I want to talk about is that maples tend to establish very slowly. So if you want a nice big specimen tree, I would splurge on getting a nice big specimen tree, because it takes them about 2 or 3 years to get settled into the ground and show you a lot of growth. So if you're picking a small variety, this is great. But if you want something to get this big, I would suggest not going with a tiny one and hoping for growth, because it takes a while. I would just go ahead and splurge on a really big, beautiful tree. Then you'll have that maple of your dreams that you kind of always wanted and not have to wait forever to get that. Make sure that you check out all of our other videos. Thank you for watching this one, but we have tons of great videos on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, and on our Instagram page. That'll keep you up to date on all our different sales and specials that you have, and you can see all the ongoings that we have going here. You can always order plants online and do curbside pickup with us as well over the phone. If you have any questions, put them down below, and we will do our best to answer all those questions for you. And be well and be safe and happy gardening, guys. Thanks.